what's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning into this week's Productive Agent Podcast. My name is Tony Ruiz. I'm the founder and host of the Productive Agent Podcast and Facebook group. And today I'm joined by my good friend, Mr. Randy Bouley. How you doing, man?
Good. Had a great day so far. Hopefully have a better one now.
Yeah, absolutely. You crushed it today, by the way.
Thanks.
Yeah, you always do. You know, your energy is so high. So we met, it was probably 9 months, maybe a year ago. Melanie McMullen. I met Melanie when I first started, 2019. I think she was kind of getting into the business full time.
Okay.
And we were doing some trainings with Rick Tankersley, and we connected because we were teachers that had just left the profession.
Yes.
So, you know, I follow Melanie. She's awesome, an amazing person. And she started bringing you in from Louisiana. And I was like, it was a presentation that I heard that I was like, hey, you got to go check this out. And it's we've been to all these EXP Explains and stuff like that, but it's totally different. So how did you connect with Melanie, and how did that relationship form?
So it started one day. Myself and 3 other agents, we had kind of decided to find a new home, basically a place that we wanted to practice selling real estate. That we wanted to be real estate professionals with different from where we were. So the 4 of us decided, we put a plan together and said, okay, we're going to interview these 4 companies, and then we're going to make a decision. Right?
Okay.
So we did. So I didn't set the meetings up. I was really kind of the 4th person in line. Okay. I was even thinking about hanging up my real estate license. I didn't want to get rid of it, but at the time I wanted to pursue something different. And so we started the interview process, right? They would set up the meetings. I would show up and evaluate the opportunity.
Okay.
When I saw the opportunity through Melanie McMullen and that meeting, something clicked for me, something totally different, because we might go into it a little bit later today, but I was a financial advisor for 20 plus years. And so when I saw the EXP model, I saw it through my financial eyes, not the real estate eyes. Yeah. So I showed up with real estate lenses, right, to see the real estate opportunity and the company and those kinds of things. But the more I learned about the model itself, what became crystal clear for me is that the opportunity in this model for real estate professionals was probably misunderstood. That it was much, if it was true. Like when I left the meeting, part of me said, this is true because I wanted it to be true, right?
Right. And
then part of me said it's not true because it's impossible. This is not the real. It's not going to be the real deal, you know. And that's what I kind of told myself. But my heart was in it, and so I wanted to get to the bottom of it, because if it was true, right, it was going to be true on many levels. That someone that was not in the financial world and didn't have the financial lenses that I have, you can't see that opportunity, right? That's built into that model. So right. That's how it started. The 4 of us were looking for a new place, a place that we could hang our license and work together with, and that's how it began. And then Melanie is so Melanie had a relationship with one of these 4 agents. That's how it started.
Got it.
So one of the guys in the group, there were 2 ladies and 2 guys. Melanie and this guy had done transactions together.
Got it.
That was the bond.
Do you remember that meeting? Did Melanie kind of like present the model, or who did it? And what was that meeting like?
So I remember the meeting very, very well. Melanie did not present the model.
Yeah.
A gentleman by the name of Pat Hayes did.
Okay.
So Pat Hayes came in, and he had another gentleman with him, and Pat did most of the presentation of it. I asked a lot of questions at the time, but 15 minutes into it, I had enough information, right? It was enough for me to see that if I need to make sure that this is accurate before I want to go further, right? And so the meeting lasted a lot longer than 15 minutes, but for me, that's where that's where I stayed right there with that information. So I kind of clocked out on the rest of the information, but that's how it unfolded.
What was the thing that kind of hooked you, or maybe there's a couple of things that are like, oh, you said 15 minutes in, you were like, hey, this is something I got to look into.
Yeah, so what I knew, I'd already done a lot of this evaluation as a financial advisor and research. What I knew is different professions, right? Being a financial advisor at that level, you're able to see behind the curtains of other professions. So you have clients that work in this industry and clients that work in that industry, and you can see their income level, and you can see their opportunity and their growth. And And so being a financial advisor gives you insight to a lot of opportunities where you say, well, that person works in the auto industry, or that person works at ExxonMobil, or a diverse employment opportunities with your clients that you get to see that normal people just don't get to see, because you get to take care of you get to take apart their financial situation. So
Right.
what I knew is that certain industries that compensate in a certain way have professionals in that industry that make a good income but have nothing to show for it. Like if they got in a car accident and they weren't able to do what they were doing to earn their active income, their whole life would fall apart. They would lose their home. They would lose everything if they couldn't do what they were doing on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And so what I would tell you is that the real estate industry is one of those industries. The compensation in that industry prior to today, the opportunities that are available through the EXP model, real estate agents are afforded the opportunity to earn a great income. But if you fast forward real estate professionals 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, what you'll find is that they did make a great income. They do have a nice lifestyle. Many of them do, right? Drive nice cars, live in nice homes, travel, do this kind of stuff. But the truth is, if they stop selling, their life is over financially, right? Yeah. And so you're going to find that same pattern in certain other industries. The one thing that connects them all is commissions.
Yeah.
Right. So when you find that. So to answer your question, right, I wanted to give you this little backstory here. What I knew is that in this industry, if you're not selling, you're not making anything. And even if you are selling, you're just paying for your lifestyle, right? You're living from deal to deal, and there aren't many financially independent real estate professionals. There's a lot of real estate professionals that have a good lifestyle, but they're not financially independent. Let me give you the definition of that for me. Yeah. The definition of being financially independent is being able to live off of the income produced from your personal assets.
Okay.
That's being financially independent. So if you need $2,000 a month to pay your bills and have the lifestyle you want, if your personal assets produce $2,000 a month, in my opinion, you're financially independent.
Sure.
Right? If it's $20,000, it's $20,000. It's irrelevant. So it's not a wealthy definition, right? You're financially independent if you have $2 million. That's not the case for me. That's not my definition, right? And I didn't create this definition. Jim Rohn said that. Right?
Okay.
I got that from Jim Rohn many years ago, put it into my financial advisory practice. And so what I tried to do with my practice is to define what my clients saw as being financially independent. That would be freedom. Financial freedom is financially independent. So let me answer your question now. It was what was the hook? What got you? That was it. When I saw the model, this is what clicked for me. I knew that if the model was true and if it was accurate, that real estate agents for the very first time in the history of this industry were going to be able to be financially free. And they didn't have to do anything extra, right? All they had to do was sell real estate. That's what I saw.
Yeah.
So once I saw that, I don't need to know anything else. I mean, in that meeting, 15 minutes in, I did not need to know about the technology. I did not need to know about processing paperwork. I didn't need to know that the company was virtual. I didn't need to know all of that stuff.
Right.
When I saw with my eyes the opportunity for real estate professionals to have multiple streams of income and to become financially independent, that's when it clicked for me. And I said, I'm going to stop right here, because if that's true, then I'm probably going to tell this story for a long time. So that's where it stopped right there.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
And you said that there was 4 of y'all that were looking to make a move. Did everybody buy in, or was there some skepticism in that?
Yeah, so everybody bought in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, since then, one's retired and she's taking care of her grandbabies, and then there's another one that moved to the South Florida environment and got into not only real estate, but I understand it's into yachts and so he's not with EXP anymore, but he had this opportunity to. I think it's pretty phenomenal. I don't understand it completely, but myself and one of the other ones are still there. Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. Obviously, I think spending time with you just today and a little bit this week and on the phone, I've gotten to know you a little bit better, and you have a great story. So I want to back up for a second, kind of pre-real estate, but as you got into the financial world, you come from Lafayette, Louisiana.
Born and raised in Lafayette, Louisiana.
Yeah, and have a great story. But tell me what you learned from the financial side of doing business. You talked to me about like when you first started, you're like, I'm not doing that. I'm going to do it like this. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So what I'll tell you is that in the financial world, trying to become, a financial person, a person that's going to deal with financial stocks or bonds or mutual funds or basically sell investments. Let's just put it that way. You want to break into the world of selling investments, right? They have this tried and proven path that they want you to go down, and it's called dialing for dollars, right? It's kind of it's the internal code of it, dial for dollars. And so what happens is all the newbies, right? They get in this room and you just basically open a phone book. You got this list of names and numbers, and you got this script that you have to memorize, right? Hi, my name is Randy Bouley, and I'm whatever, right? And look, I could not do it. I just couldn't do it, man. I would get in a room with these other new people. I'm like, I'm not making a phone call. I mean, I would try one, right, and I'd get rejection. I'm like, I have sweat rings all the way down. I'm not, and then I just turned into a clown in the room. I said, I'm not doing it. It's. And maybe, maybe I couldn't do it, right? Because other people in the room were doing it like no problem. And for me, it's like it was not in my DNA. I just couldn't do it. And so, a couple of weeks of that, and my manager was like, dude, you are going to fail. You're out of here. And I'm like, man, it's got to be another way. I love the idea of being able to be in such an important position for others. Like trying to help someone financially. I mean, it's kind of, somebody said one time, there's more written in the Bible about money than any other subject. So it must be important, right? And I would say, yes, money is important. As a matter of fact, the idea of money that most people hold is troubled at best, right? Yeah. And so if we could get that concept, and that's a whole other thing, I don't want to run down that hole. We will one day if you want to, but what I knew at the time is that what I was pursuing was important to a lot of people. And if I could get that right, I could really help a lot of people. But I just couldn't get to those people, right, the way they wanted me to get to those people. So that's why I made a deal with my manager. I said, look, you give me 30 days. I'm going to start something new, and we'll see if it works. So don't get rid of me yet. And he said, you're on the chopping block. You better dial these numbers or whatever. And I'm not doing it. I will not do that. But so what I started was these workshops. I started building some PowerPoint presentations and talking about wills and trust and mutual funds and portfolio management and risk and return and so I would put a little ad in the newspaper, right? And I would pay for lunch, right? 25 people would come in the room. I'd buy them lunch, and I would go through all these concepts. I'd built all these PowerPoint slides, and so there was no hook at the end, right? I didn't say, well, since you showed up, now you get a free 1 hour consultation. None of that. I just said, hey, this has been fun. Thank y'all for coming. And I just started shutting the thing down, and it was. I was being honest about it, right? I was like, there's no hook. I'm just, one of my beliefs that I have is that giving is living, right? And so I know I believe that you can't give and not receive, right?
Right.
Giving starts the receiving process. So in my mind, if you have an idea of what you would like to receive, then you have to backload that into giving. And so if this is what you want to receive, then this is what you're going to have to give. And so forget about receiving, just focus on the giving. I don't know if that was something you wanted to go into, but that's a belief system that I have. So I've always been that piece right there. So I actually gave these little workshops. These 25 people would show up, and at the end, they were like, okay, there's a hook. There was no hook, right? There was no consultation. There was no, they were like, how? I didn't put my information up there. I didn't put if you want to contact me, nothing at all. Wow. And this is what we know. This is what I know. If people want to get to you, they're going to find you, right? Yeah. And so I wasn't making it hard for them. I wanted them to leave the room with information, right? Amazing information that wasn't tainted with something, right? And so what started happening, right? They would kind of leave confused, right? And so I'd open up a little differently and say, listen, this is what this is. It's going to be an honest presentation of information.
Right.
And I hope you benefit from it. at the end, this is it. I mean, this is not a follow-up. There's not you're not going to, I don't want to get your phone number. I don't want to. And so what happened is after the presentation, I ended up staying in the room for another hour, answering questions, doing that kind of things. And then ultimately they started asking, hey, would you look at my stuff, right? Can I bring my portfolio to you? Can I? And that's how it started. And I started building a client base through those presentations that the individuals that were dialing for dollars could not understand.
Yeah.
And it quickly elevated me where within a year I was one of the top producers, and it didn't make sense to anyone. It really didn't make a whole lot of sense to me because I couldn't answer the question. I was just giving, and then I was receiving in return. And I was young. I was in my 20s, and it worked. And so I did that for a few years, building that client base. And then from there, it went to referrals, right? Clients would say, listen, I have someone that would really benefit from your services. I never thought I would hear this. Are you taking any clients? And I'd say, well, we probably have room for one or two more.
Yeah, I love that story. You shared that with me earlier. And I mean, it's in direct relation with most real estate agents, because, there's a large company in town, throughout the country that's get on the phones, call expireds, call for sale by owners, and do that. And there's a lot of people that don't like it, or it doesn't feel good, doesn't feel natural, all those things. And it's and I go back to some of the teachings that I've learned from or listened to, and it's like, if you're doing something that you don't like, you're not going to do it, or you're going to get burnt out. So you found something that you enjoyed, you were giving, you felt good for giving, and then in return, you built those relationships.
I did, and I ended up going fee-based, and I think for the last 10 years of my practice, I didn't solicit anything. I just was able to benefit from that work that I had done for years. But getting back to that, as human beings, one of my belief systems is that if we do something that we don't like doing, then we're going to exchange health for wealth, right? And so people become sick pursuing their income or their wealth. And then once they're sick, they exchange their wealth for their health. If they're lucky enough to do that. Right. Which means they don't have an ailment that's going to take their life regardless of their wealth. And I'm not going to name it here, but we all know that there's certain people in this world that we know very well that impact us every day with the company that they built, and their health was not there, right? Regardless of their wealth, their health was gone. And so what I'll say today, one of my beliefs is if you're healthy, you're wealthy. Right.
Yeah.
That's what I believe. And so, my girls will tell you, right? So they knew when they were little. I'll tell you this little story right here. Just one little piece, if y'all can bear with this. And little kids, they were like sponges. I was doing self-development. I was reading every book that I could put my hands on. I was trying to learn things in life. And so I had little girls. And so when they didn't want to go to bed at night, right? So I would lay up and I would teach them that. I'd say, okay, the only way you can stay up is if you learn these things. And they're like, okay, right. So my girls can tell you right now, if you work hard, play hard, try hard, do your best, and never give up, you can be anything you want. And so I would just look at them when they were little, and I go, right, and they would go, work hard, play hard, right? It was so that started that mindset of that peace. And so what I wanted to say is that my girls also know that we should pursue our passion, not our pension. And if we can ever reach a point where we can pursue our passion and our pension come side by side with us, then life will unfold in a way that we can't even imagine. So what I'll tell you is that, speaking about money, speaking about wealth, what I will tell you through my 25 years is that the people that talk about money the most are the ones that don't have enough. I truly believe that money is a byproduct of what it is that we do for a living. So wealth is just a byproduct. So let me say this: if you were able to visit and learn from wealthy people, when you have enough money, for most people that are wealthy, it's not something they talk about. They talk about philanthropy. They talk about how to benefit others. They talk about business opportunities. Not that they want to fill another room up with money, but they just like the opportunity and the challenge, and they're hungry about life, and they want to pour back into others. And, what I'll tell you is that rich people talk about money, right, if they have a lot of money. So if you take two people that have $5 million, and one's rich and one's wealthy, the difference for me is the conversation that they have with themselves and with others. Rich people talk about money and they talk about people. Wealthy people talk about opportunities and giving and that kind of thing. Do you see that? So for me, what I've personally experienced is that if you take money away from a rich person, they become poor.
Right.
And if you take the money away from a wealthy person, they remain wealthy. Right. And what I've also found is that people that are wealthy become wealthy again. Very few people that were rich that become poor become rich again. Right? Isn't that something? So I know you didn't want to go there, but in the 25 years, who knows where we're going to end up going with this, but the whole idea, I think you want to maybe come back to this idea. What I knew when I saw in that meeting that day, to put it very simply, is that for the very first time that I can put together in the history of the industry, is that someone created a model, a platform that allows real estate professionals to do nothing but become amazing human beings in the real estate professional, serving others, and they were absolutely going to become financially independent.
Yeah, that's great to hear because there's a lot of people that aren't in the business with me, but they know me in my past life as a band director. They're like, "Oh, are you going to get your broker's license? Or are you going to do this? And I'm like, "No, I explain. I'm a brokerage inside of a brokerage, right? I have the opportunities to build that within this brokerage, and that's super beneficial."
It's what I love most about this. One of the things I love most is that we just are agents, right? We don't have to get our broker's license. We don't participate in the liability of other people's productions. We don't have to do the struggle. So let me back up a little bit. Brokers in the past, they paid the price. Some of them bought franchises. Yep. They had to pay for the overhead. They had to get the broker's license. They had to sign off on paperwork of business. They were in the liability line of business being transacted. They still are today in the trenches of the business.
Yep.
And this model allows us to get out of the trenches of that business, build the same organization that they build.
Yep.
Without the liability, without the broker's license, without paying for the overhead. The company is providing this platform, and they allow you to leverage the technology. That's the fascinating piece. So, I mean, I would tell you that if you have any relationship with anyone who has paid the price in the trenches of the old model, if you have a trusting relationship with them, have a conversation with them, right? There's an old saying that what got you here won't get you there.
Right.
Einstein said the mind that created the problem doesn't have the solution. And so what I will tell you is that many of these men and women that were in the trenches and are in the trenches of the old real estate model, their mind doesn't have the solution.
Yeah.
That's got them to where the problems are today, right? And so to be able to have a confidential, professional conversation with those men and women who have really, my hat's off to them. They did it the hard way. They paid it the hard.
Yeah.
This is different.
Cool. I like that. You mentioned in here, and I know that you mentioned Les Brown. You mentioned Jim Rohn. I love listening to Jim Rohn. I've gotten more into Zig Ziglar.
Yes.
And just listening to that.
Yes.
Great messages. Obviously Tony Robbins is a branch off of all that.
Yes, he is.
And so my question to you is, you didn't think you were even going to go to college. Mm-mm. Here you are, super successful in your past career. Now you're doing all this stuff, sharing this knowledge with all of us to help us. Where did you learn this information? You said that you gathered as much information. You were listening to different things. Can you just give us like a rundown of like somebody's going, where can I learn this information?
So, this one piece I didn't tell you, when I first became a financial advisor, right, I was working with this company, and there was a manager there, a different one. That he wasn't my manager, but he was another manager, and he and I kind of hit it off pretty well. And so, as I was doing these workshops and I was starting to do well, right, he reached out to me and he said, "Do you know Jim Rohn?" And I said, "Never heard of him.
Yeah.
I'd never listened to one motivational thing in my life." And he said, "This is what I'll do with you. We'll go online and we'll buy 100% of his library. Like everything he has for sale, we're going to buy it. You pay for half, I pay for half. And when it comes in, we're going to divide it. You take half, I take half, and we'll listen to that, and then we'll meet up again, and then we'll swap, and then I'll listen to the other half, you listen. So he started it, right?
Okay.
That's how it all got started.
Yeah.
Well, it was cassette tapes, right?
Yeah.
Kind of give you my age, but I'm going to tell you this. I didn't want to sleep at night. The information was so transformational for me. I mean, it just makes me want to kind of cry, but it was powerful. Mm-hmm. So those days were so powerful. I remember calling the organization saying that the tape is messed up, right? I mean, it was I just wore the cassette tapes out. So that was the beginning of the inspirational personal development. Was Jim Rohn through this manager. We bought all the stuff, and then he got promoted and moved on. And when he did, he gave me the other half of Jim Rohn's stuff. And from there, it grew, right? So Jim Rohn is clearly the foundation. My kids call him Uncle Rohn, Uncle Jim. So some of my friends call me, Rohn Jr. or whatever. But it just became my knowledge. It became, when I spoke, I'd memorized all that stuff. But from there, Les Brown for me was so moving when I studied his. He's a twin, Leslie and Wesley. I'm a twin. Okay. They were born. He was born in an abandoned hotel building in Miami, Florida, and he ended up being adopted by Miss Mammy Brown. And so he has Les and Wesley. They still don't know their parents, right? But when you go about Les, and I won't go too far down Les. One day we will if you want to. But I think it was in the 3rd grade. Les was labeled EMR, educably mentally retarded. But in the 11th grade, being in special classes, the teacher was not able to watch him that day, so she took her class and she put it in the speech class, and speech teacher picked Les for one of the parts of the class that day, and Les said, all the kids started laughing, and the teacher tried to quiet everything down and said, what's going on? The kids were saying, that's DT, that's DT, that's DT. Well, DT stood for the dumb twin, right? And that's sad. And so he stopped everything and he said, Les, you are going to play this part. And he said, you never have to become what somebody else has predetermined you are. And so if it wasn't for that teacher pouring into Les at that time, we would never have Les Brown today. Right. He would have been that EMR guy, that bought into what somebody else labeled he was, but he's not by a long shot, right? So I will always be grateful, right? The message there for me is until you find the belief in yourself, find someone that will allow you to borrow theirs and then borrow it, right? If you don't have the belief in yourself, look around. Someone's got belief in you. And if they do, borrow it until you find yours, right? And so that's what this guy did for Les Brown as a very young man and pursued this path. He became hungry. He wanted to be a DJ and that kind of thing. So Les Brown's story impacted me because I was raised in this little neighborhood. Our houses were so close together. I'd literally, the kids, we'd get up on the roof, right? And we'd jump from my roof to my neighbor's roof, right? We were just dirt poor, right? My dad worked for the municipality. He had a massive heart attack at 36. My mom was a cashier with 4 kids, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. I was the only boy, that kind of thing. So when I say the only boy, what I'm saying is that when you get up early and get in the bathroom first and lock the door, you got 3 sisters just kicking it down, right? It's kind of cool to be raised in that environment. But the home that we lived in was less than 1,000 square feet. Wow. Right, and that's something. Yeah. So to think about wealth, I didn't even know what the word was. I mean, we know rich because rich people lived on that side of town. We lived on this side of town. It was a real ignorant environment of it. I had no idea about becoming financially independent. I had no interest in school, none whatsoever. I just knew. So having a twin sister that was smart and had no problems with school, and then I didn't care about school at all. My mom I remember my mom like the last semester of school going, please just get through I don't want to have 2 kids at the same age, one's in different grade as the other. That was like every year, say, Mom, I'm gonna make it, Yeah. But the truth is, I got through school. I didn't get from school, right? And so that's a lesson for us. I think wherever you are, get from that. We should not get through the day. We should get from the day. If we get from the day, we get to invest that into tomorrow. Yeah. If we only get through the day, then that doesn't get invested. Does that make sense? And so as long as we can get from the day and from wherever you are, good or bad. I'm not saying I'm saying, listen, if unsuccessful people gave seminars, I would go to them. Right? When we can learn what not to do, that would be very powerful. I mean, if you can learn what unsuccessful people read and don't read it, it would serve you well, right? And so we can get from every environment that we're in. So people that are unsuccessful, there's something going on. If they could teach you what they're doing on a daily basis, it would be so powerful for us.
Yeah.
Right? Does that make sense? So
yeah, absolutely.
Getting from whatever it is we're doing. Or
I would, when I was teaching, I had some student teachers come through, and I don't know where I learned this, but it stuck with me. Somebody maybe told me, but you're always learning. You're either learning what to do or what not to do, and you might have a clinician come in or somebody give a presentation, and you go, man, that person killed it. First time I saw you, I was like, holy cow, this guy's a professional. I was like, this guy's a speaker, and then come to find out, like, you were kind of studying to become a speaker.
That's exactly right.
I was like, okay, that makes more sense.
Yes, yeah.
And I feel pretty good in front of a crowd, because I'm in the front of the band and speaking, but sometimes I get nervous. But yeah, it's just like this, I like what this guy's doing, or sometimes you go, I would have done it a little bit differently.
Yes.
And they're all valuable, so just soaking it up and trying to be a sponge, make it what you want.
Yeah. So that's the presentation that you saw as well. The company has a presentation, and it just didn't say the message that I wanted to say, so I kind of flipped it and turned it into my own message. And since then, it's kind of grown legs, and we have a lot of individuals, a lot of professionals with the EXP company that have come to see the message that I have, and have been very grateful that they can see it through the lenses of me, or through my lenses. They can see the power of it.
Let's try to. It's going to be pretty difficult, obviously, without the slides up.
Yeah.
But talk to me. You talk about lane 1, 2, and 3,
Yes.
and I present that to somebody that's interested, or kind of talk about, like, hey, let's not worry about the paperwork and how we file things. I guarantee you, we have all of the tools you need to be a very successful real estate agent.
That is absolutely right.
And that goes with KW as well. That
It
goes
does.
with everybody has the same stuff. For the most part.
Yeah.
But lane 2 and lane 3 is what separates us.
It does.
And can you talk a little bit about lane 2?
Yeah, I can. So let's talk about lane 1 just for a second. You
Yeah,
want to go to there? Is that okay with you?
Yeah,
all right.
For sure.
So this is your show, but until you understand what lane 1 means to me, then we can't go to lane 2 and 3 to some, or I can't to some extent. So lane 1, I define that as our active income.
Right.
And so every active income, meaning your commissions. Right. So every company pays you a commission to sell homes. Right. Yeah. So active income is what you are compensated for physically doing. Right. You sell a home, you earn a commission. Sell another home, earn another commission. You're actively earning that money.
Right.
Okay. So in lane 1, I really don't put any emphasis on that. I mean, I know the industry has some quirks about it right now, going, okay, you should be 100% commission and that kind of stuff. But what I will tell you is that if you were 110% commission, you still will never, you'll never become financially independent with active income.
Well, and I love your 1-to-1 ratio.
Yeah. So what happens in life, if we don't have leverage, we can't do anything big.
Yeah.
Right. It's the leverage that allows us to do the big things physically and financially. Like, I go through this example. If you're broken down on the side of the road and you have a flat tire, if you don't have a jack, you're finished. You will never fix the tire. Right. You'll never replace the tire. What I'll tell you is that in the financial world, if you're broken financially and you don't have tools that create leverage, whether it's going to be stocks or other assets, financial tools, you're never going to retire either. It's the same impossible challenge to fix the tire on the car without the jack. The jack is the leverage. So the leverage does the heavy lifting. So what was impossible becomes easy with the right tool. That's the same thing in the financial world. So lane 1 for me is absolutely irrelevant. I don't care. It doesn't matter. You're never going to become financially independent. And if you don't care about that, then it's okay with me, right? I'm really okay with you not caring about becoming financially independent. Right. I don't. It's not, and I'm not going to say you're, this or that. It's irrelevant. It's okay. I'm going to love you wherever you are, right? But if you're in this business because you wanted to get ahead financially, and because you would like an exit strategy, and because someday you would like to work because you want to, not because you have to, then that becomes important. Lane one becomes important. I need you to understand, I'm not you, but that I want that person to understand that if you stay in lane one or all you have is lane one,
Yep.
the odds of you being able to become financially independent or be able to reach your financial goals is impossible. And somebody needs to tell you that. And so somebody with 25 years of being I have my COU, my CHFC, my CFP, my CEP, my CDFA. I mean, there's not many more certified financial advisors than I was. And that's not bragging. What I really want to say is that it wasn't a joke to me, right? Being a financial advisor was very serious, and I wanted to be one of the best. Now that I'm here explaining this model, if you have the desire to become financially independent, then I want to meet with you, and I want you to understand that lane one, where we learn our active income, is only going to produce your lifestyle, right? It's not going to set you free financially. It's other tools. So when I break it down and go, now we're talking about lane two. So lane two that's available here are the equity opportunities, or better known as stock, right? You get a piece of the pie. We have other industries to look at. Let's just forget about the real estate industry, because some real estate agents get caught up with, my company's better than yours. I will never have the conversation. My company's better than yours. I don't care, right? What I care about is, am I going to become financially independent here or there? Is my family going to be better off here or there? Because I'm going to work the same.
Yep.
Right. But what I'm going to receive in the next 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, what my kids and grandkids and my spouse are going to, that's important to me. Right. And so lane two are equity opportunities. Let's just go to the high-tech industry. There are some of the brightest individuals in the world, and it has been for 25 years plus, that have gone to Silicon Valley. They've gone to the high-tech industry. What I will tell you is that if you do the research, you're going to find out they didn't go there for the salaries. Though they make a good income, there's a lot of individuals in the high-tech industry that don't make good salaries. They're not making a lot of money, but they are being compensated with equity opportunities. They are receiving company stock, and that's where the success story is. Those young individuals are moving to the U.S. from other places in the country, seeking the opportunity to have stock in a company that might be successful. If the company's successful, what's going to happen is they're going to become financially independent because they have company stock. Right. That was never available in the real estate industry. They've always been privately held companies. And I'm not here to badmouth or to single out any one of them. What I really want to say is that don't hate. It's been like that since 1908. That was the model. What I would say is go build your own company, right? Don't be aggravated today because they're not a stock company and you don't have stock in the company and the owner's getting all the. Listen, that was how it was done.
Right.
It's only because it's done differently today that we have this relative comparison of now we have stock with EXP and now your company doesn't have stock and so I'm good and you're bad. And now, I mean, that's such an ignorant, elementary. It just put things in their chronological time frame and respect them for that, right? EXP is in this environment where it showed up, and it's a publicly traded company, and the founder of the company is sharing that with us as real estate professionals. Very similar to the high-tech industry. So what we need to know is that what was his background? The high-tech industry. Do you get that now? This wasn't just dreamed up. One of the comments that he made was that the individuals in the real estate industry that work the hardest get paid the least. Mm-hmm. That was the agent. And so if you really do your homework, you're going to find that the model was built around the agent. Sharing the wealth of the company is genius, right? He's put the financial future, the opportunity in the hands of the individuals that are doing the hardest work in the industry. And so there's no reason, there's no confusion at why the company has grown the way it's grown, because the financial opportunity is there, right? I'm not sure if I answered your question, but lane two is the equity opportunities, and that alone, best I can tell right now, is that there are more real estate professionals that are financially independent in the industry because of the equities that they've received or the stock that they've received from EXP than all other companies combined.
Well, and the beautiful thing is, and I know you preach this, when you're talking, is all of us have that opportunity. I mean, like every single agent have those opportunities as we get into lane 3 here in a second. Yes, there was earlier people that
early
got
adopters.
in. Yeah.
Sure.
But like you said, I think the sky's the limit. I truly believe that. And we all have these opportunities. We can all put in and buy that stock, with our commission and stuff like that, to take advantage of that.
We absolutely can. So what I would tell you is that I've evaluated a lot of companies in my 25 years, right, through in the research and so forth. What I found about this is that this model is fair and equitable across the board. Mm-hmm. If you're a big agent, you don't get to negotiate a higher payout. You don't get a higher stock option. You don't come to the company and say, well, look, I'm all this in a bag of chips, and so if you want me to partner with your company, then you're going to have to there's none of that.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how much I respect that. I hope the company never changes that, right, to attract certain talent to the company. I hope they stay rock solid, and everybody, you can't buy your way into this company. You can build your way in, but you can't buy your way in. And I think it keeps the playing field 100% level, and it lets the least of us at least see the opportunity that the most of us have. So it allows us as human beings to feel like we got an opportunity. We got a fair shake. We can play this game, right? That it's not stacked. Right. Does that make sense? So what I would tell you is I've taken apart this model, put it back together, and as we grow and as we change, every single thing that is in this particular company, in my opinion, is absolutely level. There's no stacking whatsoever. I hope it stays that way. I will tell you that I was part of a financial company as an advisor, and I think there were somewhere around 12,000 agents or advisors there, and I was one of 5 on an advisory panel. And it was 2 years into it. Now, when I got there, I was a decent producer, so I was able to sit with the company management and talk about my business and then negotiate a payout. This is what I'm going to get paid. I thought I did really well until I sat around these 5 guys. They're older than I am, and I'm this young punk in this group again, and we're all talking, and they're talking about their payout, and they're smoking their cigars, and I'm not smoking a cigar, but I am listening, man. I'm going, oh, my goodness, did I mess up? I thought I was a stud. I went in this meeting. I was young. I thought I negotiated a great payout, and these guys smoked me, right? They were making much better incomes than I was. Not from their production, but they were more savvy. They knew what their production was worth, and so they were able to negotiate a different contract. It broke my heart. I lost the interest in the company. I loved the company. It's a good company. But they gave the autonomy to all the advisors as you partnered with the company and say, listen, okay, it's called a clearing firm, right? You pass your investments through the clearing firm, and so if you have a decent amount of production, then you get to go in there and negotiate your payout. And all 4 of them absolutely smoked my payout, and it just broke my heart. And so what I felt like is the deck was stacked, and I entered the room, and I have to be a big boy. I got to own that. I asked for this. They gave it to me, and it was my decision. So when I found out that some of the other big boys, right, had negotiated it better, but what I really want to say, I don't want to miss this learning point here. While I was one of 5 representing the other 1,000 of advisors, so we were the go-between. We'd visit with a corporation representing them, and so it's kind of a liaison group, and it was an honor to be part of that group. Even at that level, being honored of it being in that group, it hurt my heart when I found out that I felt slighted. And it was nobody's fault. Nobody slighted me at all. They gave me the full opportunity to walk into that room and negotiate. They gave me everything I asked for.
Yeah.
But once I found out that someone had better than me, I immediately felt slighted. It's human nature. It's a little bit. I needed to grow in that area, but I want to circle around here. I respect this company keeping everything level, and so you're right. Whoever comes to the company has the exact same opportunity, and we see it. I mean, there's couple of young agents that are absolutely killing it, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's beautiful. So they're going to unseat some of these old savvy guys that have done real well, the early adopters. They've come on later, but they're going to absolutely smoke them, put a little bit of time on them, and that makes me very happy, right? So it's not too late. Some people say, well, I should have got here a long time ago. And what I would tell you is that if you got here a long time ago, what you would have realized that if you would have invited someone to the company, it would have taken them 2 months to come on board, and 50% of them left in that 2-month period because they couldn't stop their business, and we didn't have everything together now. But it's never been easier to build today because there is a brand, there is a back office, there's hundreds of employees that help us now.
Everybody knows us.
Everybody knows
like
us.
I joined in 2019, and I remember it being 20,000 agents, and now it's 88,000 agents.
Yes.
It's like, holy cow! It's just in 4 years.
Yes.
So it's like there was early on, even in 2019, 2020. It was, hey, have you heard of EXP?
Yes. Yes.
And it's like, of course I've heard of EXP now.
Yeah.
So it is definitely easier in that way. And there's so much information. You're sharing information. There's so many people sharing different information. So it's pretty powerful, and we want to get the word out.
It is powerful. It's being 88,000, I still think that we're a very, very young company, even though we're at 50% of the number of real estate professionals as some of the bigger companies. But it's my opinion that EXP will probably go to 1 million agents. With some of the biggest companies right now are probably at 140,000. So for me to say that, I think EXP is going to go to 1 million agents worldwide, if I were to do the math with you, it just makes total sense. If you look at all the licensed real estate professionals in the world, what percentage of them are going to come to this model, in my opinion? So when we look at it, so let's go back to the basics. What I think I understand is that 90-something% of the real estate agents that get into the business for one of two reasons, or both, right? They want to get off of the 40-hour work week, right? They want to get out of that time restriction part of their life, right? They want time freedom. And the others want a financial opportunity, right? We want to be compensated for our talent, not our time. And some both, right? That's the same thing. I want my freedom, and I want to be compensated for my talent. Unfortunately, when you get into the industry, what we find is that before long, you don't have time freedom, right? You're on all the time. It's not just 40 hours. You can't get off because your phone rings. And while you're making a good living, you're not financially free, because what happens is we raise our lifestyle to our living income. And so we have nicer cars, nicer homes, that kind of thing. And so we have to produce at that level just to keep that lifestyle. Yeah. And so I'm going to tell you, it's a cognitive dissonance. It's a mechanic that has a car that doesn't run. It's a health professional that's very unhealthy. It's a financial advisor that has no money. It's a real estate agent that doesn't have anything to show for, that's looking for the next sale just to pay next month's bills, right? That grind begins the process of breaking us down physically and mentally, right? And we begin to lose our health to earn our wealth. And so as we join the ranks of real estate professionals, those two reasons rank high why most people get into this business. And then what happens is, by the time you realize that neither one of those things are happening, it's too late, right? You're in it, and it is a way to produce a good lifestyle, and then we just suck it up and stay in it, and that's why I have this little saying that real estate agents don't retire, they expire, right? They die opening doors, right? And before, that was the only opportunity they have. Today, there's some opportunities on side of that.
Yeah. No, it's very, very cool, because I know I don't want to open doors and well into my 60s, 70s. There's a point where I'm like, hey, how quickly can I get there? Obviously I got to put in my time and grow that. But yeah. Yeah,
and so I think we should all aspire to a point where we can have time freedom.
Right.
Or let me say it another way, where we can work because we want to work. Something that I've experienced through my 25 years as an advisor, I've experienced people becoming financially free. It's like having a green grass, but when you know that anything happens in your life, financially you're fine. The flowers start to grow. They start to bloom, right? Yeah. Life does change when you become financially independent. at whatever level, 2,000 a month or 20,000 a month or 200,000 a month. I don't. It's irrelevant to me the level of financial freedom, whatever lifestyle you want, right? Yeah. But when you trigger that point that your lifestyle is being produced by your personal assets, then you sleep better, you have a higher quality of life, you spend more time with those that you love, you work because you want to work. Yeah. Like I'm never going to retire, right? I'm never ever going to retire. The only reason I feel, my experience, that people want to retire is because they absolutely want to stop what they're doing. Mm. They've reached a point they just can't do it anymore. They've done it for so long, right? They want to stop. If you're doing something you love, I don't know that you'd ever want to stop.
Right.
I haven't found anyone that loves what they're doing that says, I want to stop. I'm going to stop. I mean, it doesn't matter the age.
Yeah.
Does that help you?
Yeah. Let's get into some lane 3 and
okay.
Just kind of talk to us about it. Rev share, your thoughts, your opinions on that, and what is it?
So I'm going to tell you that it's nothing new, right? Rev share has been around since 1908. Rev share meaning whenever an agent sells a property, there's going to be some commissions that are going to be paid out, and then it's going to be shared. Right, that's rev share, and it used to be 50-50 was the standard, right? Way back when the broker, the owner, was on a 50-50 contract. You as the agent got 50%, then the house got 50%, and through competition and technology, right, that went to it grew, right? It was 60-40, then 75-25, and then today 80-20 is very, very common. So rev share is nothing new. The challenge right now is that some of the individuals with EXP and outside of EXP think all of a sudden, oh, it's revenue share. It's this real new thing. It's not new except for one thing. Who it goes to is new. So in the past, you had to be in the trenches, meaning you had to borrow the money, buy a franchise, sign a long lease, pay the overhead, pay the insurance, heat and cool the building, make sure the water fountain works, make sure the copier works, right? In order to receive rev share, you had to do a lot. I mean, you had to take on a lot of risk, and you still do today outside of EXP. But if you want to look for the wealth in the industry, the wealth is going to be at the owner level, franchise owners, regional owners, district owners. Those men and women that paid the price to buy the franchise, run the franchise, hire, trained, they deserve all the rev share they've received. They deserve all the wealth they've accumulated. Mm-hmm. It's a new day with this particular model, right? It's shifted everything because we don't have to do what they had to do and still receive the same benefit. So rev share today is the same thing that it's always been, except it now is available to us as agents. Okay. So lane 3 is yet another line of revenue, another multiple stream of income that's afforded us in this model because of the design of the model, nothing else. We don't have to do anything extra. We don't have to buy franchise. We don't have to do anything like that. It's just an opportunity for us. So let's go back to why is it this way? And if you read everything that I've read, what I found is that the founder of the company said talent recognizes talent. I'm going to grow this company through the talent that's there. And I'm going to shift the compensation that was in the industry that went to owners, franchise owners, and so forth. I'm going to shift that compensation over to my agents. And if they choose to help grow the company, then they're in line and can receive this compensation, every single one of them. So I'm not going to choose these individuals to help me grow the company. I'm going to give this opportunity to every single agent that joins this company to help grow it. If they choose not to, that's fine. But if you choose to, then this is waiting on you. This line of compensation that it's always been in the industry. It just was over here. So he shifted that compensation over to us as agents. He put his faith in us, understanding that we as individuals, I mean, if we want to go right to it, when you do a transaction with an agent that's not a real good person, it's crystal clear that that's probably not a good agent, in our opinion. Might be an amazing human being. The family might love him inside and out, but you don't want to do another deal with him, right? Yeah. And so you probably wouldn't attract him to the company. when you're earning stock in the company, which is lane 2, something switches in us. Like your financial future is tied to that stock and to that company now, right? And so, like for me, I don't want anything negative to happen to the company because it's going to affect my financial future as long as everybody else. I want the company to do extremely well. The better the company does, the better I do, right? There's an old saying that the tide floats all boats. So I don't want to do anything that would negatively impact the company. All right, so let's move to lane 3. As we attract talent to the company, I want it to be the best talent ever, right? Because it's just going to help the company. It's going to help them, but it helps the company, right? So revenue share, what I would say is that some people say it's a race to get as many agents as you can, and that's true, by the way. If you're hungry and that's what you want to accomplish, that's okay too. But I would say for the most part, most agents want to be real estate professionals. To receive company stock is amazing. Right. But over time, to attract talent to the company, that opportunity to attract talent, all you have to do is be an amazing human being, a real estate professional, have a good transaction with another real estate professional that's not quite happy with where they are. And you can build trust with them and they say, hey, look, I really want to know what this is about, but I don't want to be hounded. I don't want to be called. I don't want to be chastised. I just want to learn, but I don't want to be exposed to all that. Right? And so if you can become that person, then you're truly going to attract that talent and you can explain to them the opportunity, then your life will begin to change, right? Because financially now you're tied to their success. In the old model, really one person is tied to the success of the agents in that organization, and that's going to be the broker owner, right? And so other agents in that organization are not tied to your success, nor should they be. It's just how the model works. And here it's not the case. We are, whether you succeed or don't succeed, affects me, right? And I don't want to say it's just financially. It's not, but there's an incentive to partner and to collaborate instead of compete. And so rev share for me is genius in the hands of agents. Because if you can manage and be mature about that opportunity, you can absolutely change lives.
Yeah, everybody on the outside of real estate or sometimes even inside real estate is like, oh, it's so competitive. It's cutthroat.
Yeah.
It's like, I've never experienced competition. I'll call other agents or EXP agents, it's like, hey, how do you do this? How do you do that? Hey, what do you got? And everybody's willing to share. I can't wait to go to Build 23 next week. And everybody's going, this is how I've grown my business. Yeah. You should do the same, and like this podcast is really like sharing, the message, and this is how we do things. And so it's really collaborative. And then, there's an investment of like, hey, not only am I going to bring you in, but I'm going to help you grow your business so that you do well and you want to do the same. So it's pretty powerful. It's a lot of fun.
It is. It is a lot of fun. It is very powerful. No doubt about it.
Well, cool, man.
Yeah.
No, I think we got a lot of information there. We could go on and on and on and on.
Yes.
But I think we're going to wrap up this one here.
Okay.
We'll probably definitely come back on at some other point and talk about all kinds of stories that you got. So it'll be fun.
I'd be happy to.
Yeah, but if anybody wanted to reach out to you, maybe pick your brain, have questions about finances or real estate or EXP, how could somebody get a hold of you? You're on social media at all?
So Randy Bouley, on Facebook. But I don't mind giving my information. I mean, my email is randybouley@yahoo.com, and my phone number is 830-998-7253. Feel free to give me a call if you want. If you have any questions about it, I'm not going to spend the whole day just going through, but
right.
But you know what I said earlier, right? Giving is living. Yeah. So it's I will say this. Along the way, individuals gave a ton to me. When they there's individuals within the EXP model that give out their cell number, and he said, what's going to happen is no one's going to call, and most don't.
Yep.
I did. Right?
Yeah.
Because I want to visit with these individuals. So, I can't do that and then come here and say, well, I'm not giving up my phone.
Right.
Just be respectful, and be happy to reach out, be happy to say or discuss whatever you have. If it doesn't not going to hound you. I'm not going to whatsoever, but I will help you if I can, for sure. So that's how you can get in touch with me.
Well, I appreciate you coming on the show, man.
I do too. I appreciate the opportunity.
Love picking your brain. So yeah, that's great.
Okay.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, give it a like, share it with a friend that needs to hear this message as well. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And all of the links are going to be in the show notes. So I hope you enjoyed it. Now let's get out there and go produce.